time to learn Six Forms, a chess-style trading card game for competitive players. To begin the game, each player will need a deck of 40 to 100 cards, 1 spark each, which is a resource type, and then 20 life. There will be a shared resource pool of 32 energy cube cards. To win the game, each player needs to reduce the others to 0. If you reduce your opponent's life to 0, you win the game. To start, each player will draw a hand of 5 cards. If you do not like your hand, you may mulligan the entire hand and draw a new 5 cards if you would like. Then the game can begin. Each turn is broken into 6 steps. Remember the acronym DRAMA and you can remember the steps. The first step is to draw, the next step is to regroup, then we have act, and then move, and then act, and then you will end your turn. If you are the first player on the first turn, you will skip your draw and move steps. Here are the turn steps. First, you will draw for turn. Draw from the top of your deck 1 card and add it to your hand. From here, you'll move into the regroup step. In the regroup step, you can gain an energy cube from the resource pool, and when you gain it, it will be in vertical position. The cube will be charged, and you can use it later to create energy to play cards. Now your regroup step is over. During the act step of your turn, you can play cards from your hand. There are action cards and battlefield cards. We'll take a look at these in turn. First, we can play battlefield cards to our half of the board in our 8 spawn zones. You can play battlefield cards face up or face down in either vertical or horizontal orientation. For this example, we will use this card face up. To play the card, I need to pay its cost, which is 2. Here, we can see the card's cost in the top left-hand corner of the card. This is how much energy it requires. So, to create the energy needed to play this, we can activate our energy cube by turning it to horizontal position. This will drain the cube and create 1 energy. The cube, when it is activated, will stick with us for the rest of the game. Our spark, on the other hand, is a resource kind, and it will also create energy, but when we activate it, it will be gone forever. And then we can only activate 1 spark per turn, even our opponent's turn. So here, we can activate the spark to create the second energy needed to play this card. Cubes and sparks can be activated at any time during the game. There is no limitation on when they can be used. So here we have played a battlefield card. We can also place battlefield cards face down during our turn. When we do this, again, we can put them in horizontal or vertical position, just like when they're face up. Here I'll place a battlefield card face down in horizontal position. When a battlefield card is in horizontal position and it is face down, or when it is vertical and face down, and we just placed it for the first time, then that means that we cannot flip the card over to play it, even if we had enough resources to pay the energy to play it. You can flip a face down card face up anytime that you like during one of your act steps, just like you can play a card, but you have to be able to pay for it to do so. If a card is face down and you cannot pay for it to play it, then you can use its await ability. This allows you to put 1 counter on the card and reduce its cost by that much. So here, the card that I just placed down was the Paladin of Light. It costs 3, and now with an await counter on it, it will only cost 2 when I am ready to play it. You can do this once per turn per face down card that you have. Battlefield cards are the exclusive cards of the battlefield, and as we'll see later, you cannot play any other card types to the battlefield. Now we would move to the move step. Again, if you're the first player, you cannot do this on the first turn, but for the sake of the example, we'll go ahead and do so. Battlefield cards can move according to their arrows. So here we see this card has 4 arrows and it can move in those directions. When a battlefield card moves, it must move in a straight line that is continuous in that direction up to 2 spaces. So this card can move 2 spaces forward or only 1. It's just up to that amount. Here I will end my move step. I've already moved all of my cards and I can move as many cards as I have in the vertical position as I like per turn. Next we move into the act step again, in which case it is exactly like the first act step. However, we can only place 1 card face down per turn, so even though we don't have to pay for a card to put it face down, we can only do so once per turn, meaning our turn should be moving to the end step now. During the end step of your turn, check your hand for more than 7 cards. If you have more than 7 cards, you will discard into your graveyard just above your deck, and then once you have 7 cards in your hand, you will be free to move the turn to your opponent. Your opponent will take their turn likewise as you have. Here we'll move into another turn. The first step of the turn is to draw for turn. I'll draw a card. Then we move into the regroup step, and we will gain a new energy cube like before in vertical position, and it is charged, ready for us to activate to play other cards. At this time, any drained energy cubes can be readied or recharged. So here we'll also gain back the one that we previously had. Now we have 2 available to us. And during our regroup step, now that we have finished, we move to our act step. Here our act step begins, and we may await again on our face down card, incrementing it to 2. We are not ready to play the card, and we cannot play the card each time whenever we await on a face down card. So this card will now cost 2 less to play, but we cannot play it. However, we do have other cards in our hand that we can play. Here I have Tactical Maneuvers. It is an action card. When action cards are played, they are not played to the battlefield. That is exclusive to battlefield cards. And you'll know a card is a battlefield card because it will have stats at the top of it. Here we will play Tactical Maneuvers off of the battlefield by paying 1. So we will have to activate 1 energy cube. That will create the energy needed to play the card. We will play it off of the battlefield. And then when action cards are done doing what they say, they will be put into the graveyard just above your deck. In this case, we'll skip the effect of the card for the sake of time. Now that we have moved into our act step, we have 1 energy left. We cannot flip this card over to play it at this time. We can play a different card. We could play the Woman of War. However, it costs 2, and we do not have enough to play it. So we will choose to place this card face down in vertical orientation. We can also await on this card. So I will put 1 await counter on the card. Now, I move to my move step. I can then move any of my face-up vertical position cards as I like. Here, I will move the Resolute Protector back to its original position. Now that I have moved through my move step, I will do my act step again, in which case I cannot do anything. I don't have enough energy to play any of the cards in my hand. So the turn passes to my opponent, they go, and then it comes back to me. You will continue this process turn after turn until a player loses their life. To reduce your opponent's life, you'll need to engage in battle with your battlefield cards against your opponent. We will take a look at this now. The stats on the battlefield card are as follows. First number is the attack, second number is the health, and third number is the weakness. When battlefield cards are played and they're in ready position, they can move. You can move a battlefield into a zone with an opponent's card, and when this happens, you will compare the stats and battle the cards. At this time, the cards will deal damage to each other equal to their health or their attack value. So the 7 attack of this card will deal 7 damage to the health of the Cerebral Abomination. And likewise, the Cerebral Abomination will deal 4 damage to the 7 health of the Silver Dragon. Any additional damage done to a card will be a life point total damage to its controlling player. So there is 2 additional damage done to the Cerebral Abomination. That will reduce the other player's life by a total of 2. However, the 4 attack will not reduce this card's health to 0, nor will it overflow. This card will have 3 health left at the end of the battle, and all health at the end of battle will heal. So it does not last until the end of the turn. Now, if the card's health is reduced to 0 or lower, it is destroyed and put into the graveyard, which is just above the player's deck. When you move to attack a card and the other card is in exhausted position, the exhausted position card will not attack back, meaning it will not deal damage to the card that attacked it. And when that happens, any overflow damage from the player's attack will not overflow into the other player's life total. So this provides a mechanism to protect your life points if you need to be more defensive. As always, the card will go into the graveyard if it is destroyed and its health hits 0. The weakness stat of a card comes into play when it is advanced on the opponent too far. So here, this card is played all the way down the opponent's field. This allows the card to be open to a flank. A flank is when a card is attacked from behind, meaning from any of the diagonal or horizontal angles that are behind the card. Here, the Cerebral Abomination has the ability to move backwards and attack this card from behind. When this happens, the weakness number of the card that was attacked will be used to reduce its own attack and buff the attack of its attacker by that same amount. So here, this 3 will reduce this Nano Spider's attack by 3, making its attack power 0, and then buff the Cerebral Abomination by 3, making its attack power 7. This means that the Cerebral Abomination will deal 4 overflow damage to the opponent, and the Nano Spider will be destroyed and put into its respective graveyard. When a card that is face down is attacked, it is flipped over, and at that time, this is a force reveal play. So then the owner of this card must pay for the card, which is a cost of 2 here. And if they can pay for it with their energy, so this card could be paid for with these energy cubes, they have to activate the cubes in order to play the card. If, for example, only 1 energy cube was available to be activated, then this card could not be paid for. In that case, the card is ousted. When a card is ousted, it cannot attack back, meaning that the Resolute Protector will not deal damage to the Paladin of Light, even though it is vertical. However, if you can pay for it, let's say we did pay the total, the cards will battle as normal. So then the Paladin of Light will win this battle as before. When a card with a lesser attack, that is Resolute Protector of a 2 attack, than the health of the card it is attacking, the 3 health here, and when they battle, this card, the Resolute Protector, does not destroy the Paladin of Light, and the card attack does not destroy the card attacking it, the card that attacked it must retreat back to its original position. When cards enter into battle, after the battle, the card damage on it heals. So if I have 2 cards here, the Resolute Protector may attack the Paladin of Light. It cannot destroy it, it will retreat. But then if this card comes in and attacks, this card's health has already been healed because it heals at the end of the battle. When a card is played, it has no summoning sickness. You can move a card to battle the turn that it is played. When cards battle one another, even if the card is victorious, it will not exhaust itself. It will stay in ready position. Finally, if you choose to, you may orient the card into exhausted position during one of your act steps in order to be more defensive. However, when you move your card or orient it into exhausted position, then it cannot move. It no longer has any reach and it will not be able to go anywhere. Then, whenever you're ready again during your act step, you could move the card back into vertical position, that is ready position, but because we orient the card, it cannot move again that turn. Orienting is moving the card, and each card can only move once per turn. During the regroup step of a turn, let's say both of these cards are horizontal. During your regroup step, you may orient your cards into ready position for free. This means that even though they were in horizontal position, we can freely move them into ready position, and then they can move that same turn. And that concludes our tutorial on how to play 6 forms. Enjoy your games, everyone.